Hi, today we've got a demo for you about using Azure DevOps testing for automated testing. So this demo is not going to talk about the actual test that you're running. This is more about how do you set up automated testing. So we're going to create a project in Visual Studio, then we're going to commit that into a repository. Azure DevOps is going to then do the build of that project and run the tests. And these tests that we're going to run are very, very basic. It's just 1 equals 1, that's a pass. If 1 equals 2, then that's not a pass. I've done this so that you can understand what a failure looks like, what a pass looks like, and in future videos we'll dive into specifically what tests we want to do on a data platform. But for this one, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands how to make the project, how to do the automated testing, and how that fits into the pipeline. So hopefully you'll enjoy the video, and we should very soon have a data testing video and demo there so that you can start doing proper testing against your data platform. So for this demo, we're initially going to set up a Azure DevOps project. We've seen this in some other of the demos that I've done. So first up, hit new project and give it a name. We're using test demo here and click create. That should take a few moments to create your project for you. And the first thing we're going to do is go to repos and initialize that repo. Then we're going to clone this onto the desktop of the local machine so that we can then put a Visual Studio project into that folder. So I'm going to use Git GUI here, but you can use pretty much any Git tooling that you prefer. Source location, just going to paste in the one from the Azure DevOps interface. Then I'm going to browse and just put it on my desktop. So in Git GUI, you have to just type that name. Don't select a folder that already exists, or you'll get an error. Then we're going to hit clone. It should take just a couple of seconds. There's only one file in there, and that file is empty effectively. So once that's done, we're going to go and open up Visual Studio. And in Visual Studio, we're just going to create a new project and do a search for unit testing project or unit test project. And then select the .NET Framework version of that. There are several different ones, and you can use different languages. You can use different frameworks as well. We can cover in a later video. You can import the test results from most test frameworks. So again, we're going to choose that same location on the desktop of test demo and create the project in there. And this creates us an empty testing project. So normally these are used to test actual source code. When you create procedures and stuff, you would set up a test. Our purposes are slightly different, so we'll eventually test external things. But this is just a demo of how to set up a test. So we're going to use the assert keyword. Under that, there are lots of different types of tests. There's also string assert if you're testing strings. But here we're just going to go r equal and 3, 2, 1. So the 3 is the expected result, the 2 is the actual result, which would normally come from elsewhere, and 1 is the accuracy, I guess, is a good way of explaining it. So anything within 1 of 3 is going to succeed. So in our case, 3, 2, 1 means that 2 is within 1 of 3, it's going to pass. 6 on the second line is not within 1 of 3, and therefore that's going to fail. And for the final one, 3, 2, and 0 means that we need those to match exactly, the 3 and the 2, and they don't. So obviously that's going to fail as well. So then hit test and run all tests. I've had this fail a couple of times, but if I change something and do another build, it succeeds the second time. Just hit run all tests again, and you'll then see the first one passed and the second and third one failed. Obviously we can change the name test method for something useful to our project. We're going to save all, then we're going to clean the solution. This is just to get rid of the test version of the tests that we've just made. Otherwise they show up twice when we do the next bit. So back in Git desktop, we're going to do a rescan, stage all the changes, and just commit those, put a little comment in to do the commit. and push those changes back up. So what this is going to do is all of that code will be available in the repository, and then DevOps is going to then take that code, build it, just as we've just done on the desktop, but it's nice to have that automated in the cloud. Then we're going to take the output of that and use it for testing, running the tests. So normally on our data projects, we'll have two folders within the repository, one for the actual data project stuff and the other for the testing stuff. So here we're going to go into the pipeline section and just create a new pipeline. We're going to use traditional classic mode because YAML was a bit too complicated for this demo and it's not as visual. So it works well on video. So if we search for Visual Studio, we're going to first add Visual Studio Build, then Test Platform Installer, and then Visual Studio Test. So on the build solution, we're going to browse for the actual solution we've just pushed up into the repo, test demo solution. And platform is any CPU, and the configuration is release. These are just the standards for how to build things. We're going to do a clean build, so tick that box as well. Nothing here needs changing, but I've kind of shown you what's in there. We will be using some of these in later videos, but we don't need to use them today. Today is all about just getting you up and running with your first test project, seeing how it works and having a play with it. So we're going to save in queue. That's going to kick off a build. We can click on this agent job here and actually watch it running. So it's not a fun thing to watch necessarily, but we're going to watch it all the way through. So first up, we're going to get an agent from the pool. You might be using your own agent as well in a corporate environment. So it's going to check out that code from the repository, and that will be the code of that commit that the build is started against. This is then going to do that build. You can see on the screen there, release any CPU, as opposed to a debug version. Obviously, we're not debugging when we're in the cloud, so we want that release. And then once that's built, it will then move on to installing that test platform. This is purely so that the test software is available on the agent that we're running on. Then it's going to run through the actual tests. So what this does is it will just search for any test assemblies that are in the folder. In this instance, it's just going to find the one that we've just created. If you had any others in there, it would find them and it would try to run them as well. That's what some of those other parameters were for in the test tasks. As you can see, that's failed. We expected that to fail because we had two tests that we designed to fail. So this has stopped the build process. Nothing will carry on now. And then in here we can see those tests. And you'd be able to see this against any of your pipelines in your actual projects. So that's the demo for today. Hopefully now you've seen how to set up basic testing and automation in Azure DevOps. Soon there'll be a repo with how to test data platform stuff so that you can extend this knowledge and start really using it in your production environments and get the full automation end to end and quality testing as well, which is very important. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button below. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm and just showing up. And also subscribe to the channel so that you see new videos as and when they're made available. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.